All right. So as we look at those images that are playing out of those strikes that are being carried out, we also are getting you these inputs at this point of the Jordanian airspace that's temporarily closed until further notice. That's the latest coming in. Remember, what we are seeing playing out comes with immediate implications and repercussions. At this point, Israel says striking Tehran, operating to intercept missiles from Iran, and the Israeli military said that it is carrying out airstrikes in Tehran while simultaneously working to intercept missiles launched from Iran towards Israel.
All right, so if you're just joining us, this is the second night of the Iranian ballistic missile reprisal. And what you're looking at are these images that have been posted by the Israeli Defense Force. They say that these are the Iranian ballistic missiles that are flying over the Israeli air skies. We need to look at as to what the scale of this Iranian missile attack actually is like. Because remember, this is the third straight night of hostilities between Iran and Israel, and it does not look like things are going to come under control anytime soon. And earlier we also witnessed as to how the Israelis had carried out several strikes on what they described were underground missile facilities that belonged to Iran. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we've got Dr. John Blaxland, who is the Director of ANU North America Liaison Office and also a Professor of International Security and Intelligence Studies at the SDSC. Now, Professor Blaxland, thank you very much indeed for joining us in this broadcast. As we speak, there is breaking news, Professor, that's come in, which says that Iranian missiles have again been spotted over the cities of Haifa and Jerusalem. Considering that this is the third straight night of hostilities, where do you expect this conflict to be headed?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And this is certainly going to present a massive challenge for the Israeli Defense Force, but it is one that I think they have been anticipating for some time. They know that the Iranians have a substantial stockpile of ballistic missiles. They have been striking at them. And I think what we're seeing is actually, while the Israelis have been talking about their first few days of operations and the success of using drones and of their special forces and of catching Iranian officials by surprise, it's not over. There's more to go. In fact, if anything, I think we're only at the early stages of a war that can go on for several weeks, if not months. We need to put it in context of what's been happening now, arguably for 40 years, but particularly for the last couple of years, going back to the events since October 7th, when we have seen, the proxies for Iran, one by one, being whittled back and broken by Israeli Defence Force capabilities. This is now kind of the last main capability the Iranians can deploy against Israel. The question is, how many more of these do they have?
That's an interesting and an important point that you've made. And just to update our viewers, information that is coming in, and this is what the Iranians are now claiming, that they've managed to hit the targets that they wanted in Haifa. This is what the Iranian state media is now claiming. We saw a little while back the Iranian ballistic missiles flying over the Israeli skies, and now the Iranians claim that they've hit their target in Haifa. We need to wait for an Israeli statement on what's in fact been hit in the city of Haifa at this moment. Now, Dr. Blackson, the fact that earlier, a little while back, about a couple of hours ago, there were reports which stated that the Israelis had targeted a certain oil and gas facility within Iran. This is the first time in this war since the hostilities broke out 3 days ago that what would be described as critical infrastructure has been struck. In your assessment, this war would started off by striking at each other's military facilities and into civilian areas. Will it now, essentially it is now headed into a territory where striking each other's critical infrastructure is fair game?
Well, evidently that's been the case now for a couple of days. There's no question that what Israel did to Iran over the last few days has significantly set back the Iranian capabilities, but they've been wound back now for some time. The effective crippling of Hezbollah, the attacks against Yemen, the sidelining of the threat from Syria by removing Bashar al-Assad, and the continuing grinding down of Hamas in the west, in Gaza Strip, means that we're facing a situation where the Iranians' capabilities are significantly degraded. They don't have too many options left except this kind of attack. And the question is now, how much of this do they have to throw at Israel? Because Israel hasn't stopped. This is the thing. There's more yet to come, I believe, from Israel in terms of the degradation of critical military-related, nuclear-related infrastructure in Iran. And clearly additional, petrochemical facilities as well, by the sounds of it.
That's going to be a very crucial thing to, in fact, look out for. Do continue to stay on with this, Professor Blackson. Let's, in fact, look at those images again, very dramatic ones, of these Iranian ballistic missile attacks. Remember, yesterday night, when the Iranians carried out these ballistic missile strikes on the state of Israel, it was an unprecedented attack. Never in the history of Israel, in the 70 years that it has been in existence, was a city such as Tel Aviv struck in the manner as what in fact transpired yesterday night. In the previous instances, in last year when in April and then again in October, the Iranians had staged their ballistic missile attacks, they had predominantly struck only the Israeli air bases and other military infrastructure. But this time round, yesterday, what the Iranians demonstrated is that they can strike right in the heart of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. And this evening, we're getting to hear information that the Iranians have also staged attacks on Haifa as well.